If we understand this concept of mind, then we can go into mindfulness and mindlessness and so on. That is why I'm setting the base, and how Swami created this see in my light. So we'll come to that in a bit. So the point is, the mind depends on these senses. Senses create thoughts. Now how do we experience something close to where the mind ceases to exist? How can I experience a state when the mind is not there? Then nature has provided that as well. God has given you an experience very close to that. He calls it deep sleep. In deep sleep, what happens? So consciousness has 3 states, basically 4 states, but we'll come to that. Here you are awake, you're receiving information, you're listening to something, you're smelling something, you're constantly interacting. So this is one dimension, we call it one dimension of reality. So Vedanta and Swami says this is one dimension of reality, not entire reality is here. We got to understand this, because when we take a leadership position or we live a spiritual life, then we have to understand there are so many more dimensions to look at one particular situation, not just one here. So then in your dream state, what happens? In your dream state, time and space begin to lose their significance, right? You can dream 1 second you're in Calcutta, next second you're in Trinidad, third time you're somewhere in the US. You can just switch. It switches, right? The scenario switches so fast, and then you accept it. So there is a different level of reality that is played in your consciousness, and during the dream state, you identify yourself with that. You don't think, oh, I'm dreaming, this is not real. In the dream, it's absolutely real. You're there, you're being chased by a tiger or scared by a lizard, I don't know what it is, or you're smelling a rose, or having a tea with the Queen Elizabeth. But whatever it is that you're having, or having an interview with Swami, it is a level of reality there that's happening there in that dimension. And that is why Patanjali says meditate on your dreams as well, because they are important. The messages they are given to you in your dreams. You begin to understand more about yourself in your dreams. So you have a level of reality here which you think we are in control. Then there is a dream which is also under your control, but we don't realize it. Then there is a deep sleep. You exist in that deep sleep, but you're not aware of it at that time. So I won't talk too much of deep sleep, because I know you will slip into that right now. This is a very, very tricky time of the day to talk about deep sleep. And I'm glad I'm not on the other side of the podium. But I just want to give an idea to understand that when you're fast asleep without dream, you don't know you're fast asleep. You are not there to experience it. You don't exist. You're not aware of your nationality. You're not aware of your sexuality. You're not aware of your culture, name, nothing. You don't even know if you're sleeping on that $2,000 Tempur-Pedic bed or a $500 ordinary bed which you picked up in a flea market. Nothing matters, because in that state, you're completely lost. But when you wake up, you say, I slept well. Oh, I slept like a log. I don't know what hit me, I slept. The question is, how do you know you slept well? Were you there when you slept? No. Then how do you know you slept well? You're only able to infer at that point. In the absence of everything else, I infer that I slept well. It's an inference. It's not a direct experience, because you don't exist. So now, that in other words, you can't have the cake and eat it too. Once you eat the cake is gone. How can I have the cake and eat it too? Vedanta says this. Swami says it is possible to have the cake and eat it too. That is the 4th state of consciousness, where you experience the highest state of consciousness beyond deep sleep, but you there as a witness, witnessing it and yet not being there. That is a beauty. So we won't go into that kind of Vedanta talk, because at that point it becomes abstraction. Unless you experience it, you will not understand or know or not be able to relate to it. But I just want to throw it out there that this is where, when you begin to watch it from the 4th state of consciousness, that is the light. Swami is saying, my light. Watch in my light, everything is seen. How do we reach there? That is more important to us, right? Whether it is there, not there, sounds great and fancy, but we are more interested. Okay, tell me how do you get to Disneyland? Let me know. You got the tickets? Tell me where it is. Where can I find cheap tickets to Disneyland? That's what we're interested in. The beauty there is surrender. This my light, Swami is saying, see in my light. In other words, see the reality I have painted for you, not with your little flashlight. With your little flashlight, you can see here, you cannot see behind you. If you see behind you, then you can't see the past. If you see you're trying to look into the future, then you forgot the lessons you learned in the past. You look into the past, you're reminded of all your experiences in the past. And so your grief and anxiety constantly affecting you. Grief from the past, anxiety from the future, constantly affecting you, right? But he says, look in my light, everything is seen. How do we see in God's light? How do we see our lives in God's light? And what is the effect of seeing in God's light? So, allowing God to light our lives, everything becomes clear. Allowing His truth to overshadow your truth. To me, that is mindfulness. When your mind becomes full of an energy that is far above you. Not this mind, which is full of senses. So, today, if you and I understand mindfulness, if you go Google it, if you search for it, they will say mindfulness is being here and now, completely focused on what you're doing. If you're looking at something, just look at it. If you're thinking something, think fully, don't allow your mind to get distracted. Mind is full of information coming from the senses. I'm here, I'm talking to you, you're listening to me, at the same time you're aware of the sound of the air conditioner, so your ears are fully occupied with the sound, and then you can smell the nice this thing of agarbatti, the perfume of agarbatti, so your nose is absorbing a smell, your tongue has still got the aftertaste of that wonderful lunch you had, so all the senses are alive, you're aware of all this. That is mindfulness, yes. But do we frown on that? No. To some extent it is good, because you are here and now, hopefully not caught in the past or the future. To that extent it is good. But Vedanta takes you one step further. Swami takes you one step further. He says, this state of mindfulness that you talk about, even a dog does that. Even animals do that, right? Not that it is so low or up or anything. It's a fact. If you look at your pet, you have pets at home, if you look, they are listening to you, but the ear is going all over the place. So they are constantly listening to other sounds as well. They are awake. You're walking around, their eyes will follow you. So they are fully mindful of what's happening. And they have memorized your movements so well that they know exactly when you're getting to go for office, they'll know when you're getting up to go get them the cookie. They will know it. They understand your body language so well. So for those of us who have pets, you know that very well, right? I guess children do that as well. I don't know. Like I said, I don't have children, so I don't know if they are so watchful of parents. No, they don't. Okay, so this is mindfulness, but Vedanta says, but this even animals do. So there's nothing special about it. When you allow the mind to blossom and adopt a higher reality to fill it, that becomes true mindfulness. So for us in the path of devotion to Swami, accepting a Sadguru, there is an easier path. Even if you don't comprehend all of that, that path, I said easier is easier to understand, but then it's a very empowering path. The path is surrender. So to me, as I understand mindfulness and practice mindfulness in my everyday life, there is a technique part of it I can practice in yoga. There is a whole Hatha Yoga meditation is a course. I just finished a course of 5 days, and along with the yoga camp, there was 90-minute session each day, and for 5 days we dealt every aspect of meditation. Why do you sit like this? How your hand should be, how your eyes should be, what is the bandhas, kriyas, where the mind focuses. There's so much that it took 5 days for us to even grasp the understanding. So that much amount of information that is there. The yogis went into every aspect of your body and said, how can you trap this thought process into one place? How can you hold it there in one place? Because when you are able to do that, then you are truly experiencing that my light growing up. So there is a yogic way to approach that. That is one side of the picture. We don't have 5 days, we don't have that time for now. But if anybody is interested, I'm glad we can do that, because that's a powerful, practical, down to earth. I use my body, I use my breath, I use my thoughts, I use whatever I can relate to get to that experience. It's not a matter of faith, belief, nothing. It's beyond religion and all that. Having said that, Baba introduces us to a more beautiful concept. Surrender. See in my light. Everything is seen. You become mindful. Your mind is full of His light, not your light. Right? And so the question becomes, how do we do that? How do we take to this path of surrender? How do we allow Swami's light to shine in our lives? We begin to absorb His. So absorb his teachings into our life. That is the most crucial thing that we need to do. Let me share a story here and see how that relates to it. Swami was sharing, it was at one point Swami said, you all have to go home, everyone. And this was 83, 84 I guess, the year before another world conference came. Swami wanted to paint all the buildings in the ashram and painted in the, he would call it whitewash. You know, in India they say whitewash. Whitewashing is going back and repainting all, the buildings. So he said, I have to do all of this in the ashram and college and hostel, and world conference is happening, everybody has to come and see clean. So everybody get out. Everybody get out. So we were about 20 of us. We said, no, we don't want to go. But we never went home. But that particular time, Swami forced us. He said, no, you all have to go. And he called us inside and he took out money and put 200 rupees in each of our pockets. He said, come on, everybody buy tickets and get out from here. So now that you have taken money from Swami, you can't say no. Because he literally walked around putting money in your pocket. And so we said, okay, Swami, we'll go. And Swami was happy that we all agreed. So that was having done, he sat down in his seat. He said, okay, acha, good. Everybody's going. Then he said, okay, so what are you going to do when you go home? We all kept quiet. He asked one by, what will you do when you go home? He said, Swami, I will visit Sai centers. And, oh, good. What will you do when you go home? He said, Swami, I will sing bhajans. Oh, good. What will you do? Swami, I will speak about my experiences. Oh, good. Then each one said something. Obviously, nobody said we are going to go back and watch TV. We didn't mean also. In those days, TV was not such a big thing anyway. So we all said what we really felt we wanted to do at that time. Swami said, good. He listened very patiently. Then he leaned behind on his chair and he said, okay, let me tell you a small story. So we were eager to listen. And then he said, from this nearby village, he named the village, it was Kotecheru, and the other village was Buchegarepalli. But anyway, we'll call it village A and B because you won't be able to relate to these names anyway. So he said, from a group of villagers from village A, this nearby village, went to village B. From A, they went to B to watch a village folk program. It's in Telugu they call it Burrakatha. Burrakatha is a, the days before television became so common in villages, there will be little groups of artists. They will go and do these little plays, Rama, Krishna story, Rama story. So the same guy or a couple of people could do that whole story. He'll talk of his Rama, then he'll become Ravana, then the other person will become Sita, and so on. They'll just entertain the people with those stories. They add humor, fun, songs, everything. And Swami would love that. In fact, I've seen some of these artists come and Swami will say, perform. We would, at that point, we would find it so boring. Like, what are they doing? Long dialogues and really long singing. They'll go, and they'll sing. But Swami will be so engrossed because they are singing poetry. They're singing Telugu poetry and we're like, oh, really? This is entertainment. So, Swami would love that. Anyway, so Swami was telling the story. He said from village A to B, these people went to watch that Burrakatha, that folk program. And in the night, when they wanted to return, it was Amavasya, it was new moon. So they lost their way. They didn't know which was the path that will lead them back to the village. It was so dark that they didn't know where to go. So some people said this way, the others said no, it should be this way. And while they were confused, and they were talking and discussing among each other where to go, having lost their path, a few dogs started barking in the distance. And half the group said, wait, those dogs, I know they keep me up at night. I know, they are the ones. That side is our village. The barking is coming from there. That side is our village. Let's go that side. And the other half said, wait. You can see some howling. You can hear some howling also along with the dogs. So I don't know if they are dogs or foxes. It's dangerous. Don't go that side. So hearing the dogs bark and perhaps howl, there was more confusion. Should we go that side? Not go that side? Some dogs are saying come. Some howling is saying don't come. And then Swami said, while they were confused going here and there, in the distance they saw a street lamp. It was burning. So they went towards the street lamp. because that is the only light. So they were drawn to the street lamp. They went there. Under the street lamp, there was a fork in the path. And they recognized which paths to take to the village. They took the path and went home. And then Swami paused. So we were wondering, what has this story got to do with our going home? Because just a minute ago he was saying, what are you going to speak? What are you going to do? What are you going to sing? And this and that. And then he started off a story. So we thought it must be one of those philosophical discussions of Swami. So we didn't connect the two. And here's how beautifully connected. He said, he asked us, how did these people find their way back to the village? We said, Swami, they found it because of the street lamp. Oh, good. Did the street lamp sing bhajans? No, Swami. Did it go give speeches? No, Swami. What did it do? We kept quiet because we knew the answer. He said, the street lamp simply did its duty of shining the light. And under that light, people found their way. So he told us, I don't want you to be street dogs. Dogs would create confusion. I want you to be street lamps. What a powerful message and a lesson for all of us. And Baba says, make your lives my message. That is most important. That is why I'm tying this to what we discussed earlier. Because it's not about what I speak, what I do. How do we inspire our children? How do we inspire youngsters? How do we inspire the next generation? He has given us the answer right away. Be a street lamp. They will get inspired. They will find the path under you. You just live your life as my message. Watching you, they will learn. So mindfulness to me is a life where action speaks louder than words. So mindfulness is not a bunch of techniques that you put together. Mindfulness is everything that I do from morning to night. Am I mindful? Is it aligned with my core belief system? Is it aligned with his values that I want to incorporate? If I claim to be devotee of Swami, then what am I? How am I different from somebody else? And the reason I'm saying this is, my dear sisters, brothers, this is a very important moment in history and in our lives. Okay, we are sitting with a treasure that is like I said earlier, unending in its capacity to give. Swami and his teachings, he has left us amazing amount of information that you can delve, you can argue, you can think, you can talk. I use the word argue, I don't know why, but not argue, but discuss and learn and more. The point is, in mindfulness, if I can be mindful of every act of mine and say, how can I bring in more of his teachings into my life, more and more and more and more, then what happens? Slowly, every thought, every word, every deed will slowly begin to reflect him. Will it not? It will. And therefore the transformation, instead of being a conscious one, will become a slow, unconscious transformation. That to me is real mindfulness, which will help you in spiritual realization. Otherwise, there are techniques of mindfulness where you expand your brain, the grey matter of the brain increases, you are becoming more intelligent, more focused, more creative. All that is there, but what will you do with that creativity if it doesn't expand your consciousness and give you that spiritual energy and spiritual power? So that is so important, that we understand mindfulness as to information that is coming in through my senses. So this means, this is where it becomes important. Why? Today, I could have spent this 1 hour showing you a nice slide presentation of all my pictures with Swami. I have quite a few of them. Maya could have taken that podium. She still can. I didn't stop her, okay, by the way. And we could have shared how wonderful it was when Swami performed a wedding in his room, what all happened, how he held our hands, what mantras he chanted, all that we can engage you. But I know there will be a young person in you, like Srishti, for example, who will say, so what? So what? Okay, you got all these chances. Yeah, so what? Today the youngsters are asking that question. Okay, you got 10 interviews with Swami. Oh, good. So what? Okay, 30 years I've lived with Swami. So what? No, but I got a ring, I got a watch, I got a chain, I got everything. Oh, good for you. So what? The question is, so what? Really, so what? That is what. So what? How does that help? What has that done to you? Have you changed yourself? Has there been transformation in your life? We can claim to, Baba would always tell us, you can claim to be my devotees, but you have to wait for me to claim you as my devotee. Have you done that? At some point you will know he has claimed you. But the point is, if we want our children to live that life we want, or we hope for them, if we want the community to become excited about Swami's teachings, if we want to become true instruments of Sai, in any form, whether you're in the organization, in the family, whatever it is, you want to bring in values into your children, you want to embody everything that helped you, you want to share. The best way to share is become the street lamp. That is what they're looking up to. Has being associated with Swami made you a better person? Are you much more calmer now? Do you get lesser angry? Are you able to share that clarity in your thought? What am I seeing? How are you different from X or Y or Z out in the street? If there is no difference, then they ask you, so what? That is where mindfulness plays a role. To us as Sai devotees, if we want to be mindful, then we need to watch. So how do we become the street lamp? Next question is, okay, right, good, we got it. We want to be the street lamp. How? Swami tells us about the 4 qualities that you need to be eligible. And this is all, when Swami talks, it is not different from pure Upanishads and Vedanta. It's pure Vedanta. Vedanta is not some bunch of old people who sat thousands of years ago and decided, okay, I'm getting bored, I'll write something fantastical or something mind-blowing so people get to read. No, this is all intuitively understanding the cosmos. So it's very powerful. And therefore, everything that they say has this aim in view that you will ultimately understand how powerful you are within you, how much of power is there within you. We have forgotten that. So for example, there is a Siddhanta in astrology called Vedic Surya Siddhanta, for example. It's not just astrological Siddhanta. Siddhanta is a writing, a treatise, if you will. It's not just for astrological purposes. It is one of the earliest documents. People are still debating over whether it was 10,000 years old or 12,000 years old. Now, after it's, does it really matter? Beyond 2000, it's an old document. This was when science says people were living in the Stone Age, but not so in India, not so in that part of the world, not so in that continent. We were thousands of years ago. This Siddhanta, for example, talks of trigonometry, heights of mathematics. It's introduced, it's taught in that. Apart from that, they talk about the cosmos that surrounds us. They talk about the planets. Now you and I, with all our education, if we go in the night sky today and we say, look up and tell me where is Saturn, what would you do? You would say, wait a minute, we'll open the app and say, let me see, Trinidad app, Saturn's in the sky, where? He'll teach you where. That is Saturn. Hopefully, if the app works fine and you have Wi-Fi connection or whatever, right? Otherwise, you're lost. That's how disconnected we are. And yet, with no app, no telescope, no modern instruments, these people are documented not simply where Saturn is. They say, why Saturn is considered the shadow planet? Because beyond Saturn, no sunlight goes. They say Saturn draws a boundary for the sunlight. The sun which is expanding, Saturn says, enough, not beyond me. So, not only have they described Saturn as a planet, they discuss the diameter of Saturn and they write how light the planet is. It's mostly full of gas. Now NASA is finding the diameter of Saturn, the distance between Earth and Saturn is documented there. And it's 95% close to NASA. How is that even possible? Diameter of Jupiter is distance from the Earth to Jupiter. Diameter of the Moon, distance from Earth to Moon, Earth to Sun, Earth to Mars. They call Mars as Bhumi Putra, son of the earth. At some point they have documented that earth is born from the earth. It's possible sometime in the future. Science is going to say that some meteorite or something billions of years ago hit the earth, and this separated itself from the earth and is formed this planet. But that's why it has a lot of earth-like qualities in Mars. But they're not writing it today. They've written it thousands of years ago. They call it Bhumi Putra, son of the earth, Mars. So how beautiful is that awareness? Where did they get that awareness from? This is why Baba asks us that question. How did they know all this? How did they know the universe? How did they know all this? How were they able to build these temples with perfect accuracy of geometry and architecture? Our buildings don't withstand slight earthquakes these days, but these temples have withstood thousands of years of natural disasters. There is a temple in the south below sea level, in Tiruchendur it is called, Murugan temple, son of Shiva. This, among the 6 temples, is a very powerful temple. It said after destroying the Asuras, he went there, he got ready for the battle and all that. So anyway, this temple is below sea level. When tsunami hit the entire coastline, this section was somehow, the sea got subdued, didn't cross into that, even though all the villages nearby went under. The question is, how did these architects know at that point the temple built here will last forever? Because they don't build temples temporarily. They build temples forever. Because they valued this idea. They chose those places. They knew exactly how the sea will not overcome. And the architecture is so beautiful that the temple is almost half a kilometer long. A huge temple. And so the eye of the main deity, Lord Kartikeya, the eye looks at the most external door which is facing the sea. There's a keyhole in that door. So this eye and that is an exact same line. Same, absolutely mathematical precision to the 0.0001% accuracy. It's on the same line. It's almost like his eye can see the sea. So they say his eye keeps the sea under control there, and it will not. Now that is one side of the belief pattern, but they wanted to prove that with how do they choose these places? What kind of knowledge did they have that connected them so close to this cosmos that they understood? That was mindfulness. Mindfulness is knowing my place in the cosmos. Not the fact that I'm sitting here, I'm alive, I'm thinking, oh, I smell coffee, or I'm saying I'm mindful. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Don't get discouraged. You are mindful. But how can you take that to the next step? How am I mindful of where I am in the cosmos? So that makes me environmentally conscious. We have lost that completely because we lost connection to the earth, right? So this is, Swami would say, how did they know their place in the cosmos? And we had no answer. And Swami said they knew one thing. They knew one thing by which everything else is known. They knew one thing by which everything else is known. So simple, right? He didn't say study 4 Vedas, 108 Upanishads, they were masters. No, he said they know one thing by which everything else was known. What was that one thing? I. The I in us. Who am I? Who am I? They found the answer. That was their goal in life. From the youngest child, they would send them to the Gurukulam. For what? To learn that. And with that knowledge, go out, rule the kingdom. And that's why India and that continent, I would say India because at that point India is not the way you and I understand it today. There was much larger landmass, most of it gone under the sea, or much of it gone under the sea. It was extending, large landmass there. There was a civilization that was a superpower for thousands and thousands of years. They knew secret of all the metals. In fact, for over 4,000 years, India had zinc as a metal they were using, and the rest of the world didn't even know such a metal existed. A commoner village, you know that there's an iron pillar in India that doesn't rust at all. That's 1500 years old. You have heard of that. It's called the Ashoka pillar. Who built this pillar? Some great engineer, scientist, some descendant or avatar of Vishwakarma? No. It was a common village folk who built this to honor the king who was visiting that temple, the village. So common folk in the village had this knowledge. In Hanuman Chalisa, Tulsidas writes about the distance between earth and the sun. Yuga Sahasra Jo Jana Par Banu. So they knew exactly, and when you take these words and you analyze it in in Sanskrit, the unit of measurement is different, as you know, as maths today. But when you bring them together, they'll find exactly the same, to the point of 0.1% error. They were right about their idea of what the cosmos was. They knew Earth was round, the planets are going around the sun, and so on and so forth. We call it planets. They never called it planets. They used the word graha. Graha means gravitational bodies. Every heavenly body that has gravitation in it, it's called graha. The word gravity comes from graha. So a lot of English words find their origin in Sanskrit. So this was mindfulness. Baba says this is mindfulness. This is the my light he's talking about. See in my light. My light is that cosmic light. Everything becomes easily visible to you. Obstacles don't necessarily go away, but you can see the obstacle. So in that, when you put on that light, in that room, the boxes didn't magically disappear, and the box that we wanted to see didn't magically appear in front of us. Nothing changes. But in that light, we knew which box we can move, which box we can cross over, and look clearly, because now the clarity was there. So I could move some box, move this box. Then we say, oh, this is the box Baba was talking about. So we got that box out. So nothing magically happens because you allow God's light to shine your life. Problems just don't go away, but you will know how to handle the problem. You will take it in your stride. You will know this problem, I will go around it. I will handle it this way without getting afraid, fearful, because that little flashlight will only show you a little bit at a time. Right? When you go into these horror houses and all in Halloween time, I probably don't celebrate Halloween here, but in US it's fun when you take families and go, you see a little bit, suddenly you see a shadow, oh, you're screaming, because they're all playing with lights actually, right? It's only playing of lights. So when you have little light, you see more shadows. That scares you, startles you. But when it's fully lit up, there's no room for fear. The thorns are still there in the path, but then you know where to step across and go. So a challenge for us as fellow travelers in the spiritual path is understanding the concept of mindfulness as a means of empowerment. When you live that mindful life, and we'll talk about what that really means. When we live that kind of life, and I saw Swami doing this, and I want to draw that again, the lessons from him. All this was learned from him. When we live that kind of mindfulness, we become a street lamp, and children learn from that. That is what they take home. Not the words we speak, not the classes we send them to. I don't know about Trinidad, but in elsewhere, SSC has become a free daycare. Oh, weekends I have to go grocery shopping. Okay, let's drop the kid in SSC. We go shopping, come back. Oh, my child has learned sloka and all, but really not much change. I said, how can it happen? What are you doing at home to cause this change? The cause of the change is not because you introduce the children to SSC and when they come back home they see a different set of values. What they grow is, they think it is okay to have two sets of values. They think it is okay to be hypocritical. They assume it because they are seeing it. So as from the childhood they are seeing that and they assume it's okay. And then suddenly you wake up and say, oh, my child is watching too much TV. They need to change. They say, let's call Sunder Iyer, speak to them. I said, my talk is going to change, stop from watching TV. How did they get to watching TV in the first place? Because when the baby was crying, they say, watch and feed the food. So now he's 7, 8, he can't eat food without watching TV. That's exactly how the brain is trained. How else can you do that? Think of you and I, we sit down after lunch now. If I say, let's watch a movie, you say excited. Okay, let's watch a movie. But if I put a 1940 movie where Sehgal or somebody sings, Jab dil hi toot gaya, Jab dil hi toot gaya, you'll say, oh gosh, really? Why? But in 1940, your parents, my parents, they fell in love watching that song. They must have held hands and say, oh my God, this is amazing. And you'd want to seriously, this? How did that happen? It is because your brain and my brain are now stimulated to a different frequency. We are stimulating ourselves. When our TV, watch the TV, mute it, okay? When the ads come especially, mute the TV and watch how fast the screen is changing. Less than 3 seconds, 4 seconds, it changes. In a film, put off the audio because audio distracts. Put off the audio and say, I'm just going to focus how much the screen is changing. You'll focus, and every 5 seconds, 7 seconds, it is changing. So you want the screen to change. Now your brain gets addicted or stimulated to that change. So when you go back to 1942 story, when they are one camera, right? And then they're zooming in and slowly following, and like, oh gosh. Now the brain is saying, I can't handle it. And that is why when we sit in the morning and we say 21 ohms, you're like, how long is this boy? This guy is going ohm for so long. This 21 ohms, I thought it'd be over in 7 minutes. This is going for 20 minutes. How is it? The brain doesn't, so slowing down the brain becomes so foreign now that you resist. And it's natural. Imagine you and me are like this. Think of our children who are born. We can at least go back. We still have the seeds where we can retrain our brain. But children today are so hyper, their brain is so stimulated to a completely fast-paced life that they don't know what meditation is. They have no clue. Seriously. Because nothing that they see encourages them to go there. And so they're constantly wanting something. It's almost like an addiction to a drug. We are fighting a drug, yes, but then TV becomes that drug. It's an addiction. If I tell you we're not going to watch TV for 2 weeks, ask yourself, what do I do in the evening then, right? Because we have got addicted. Imagine a child being born in that, being fed with that. So the brain is exactly forming the same pattern. So they need that. They find their solace there. That is their satsang for them. That is where they have friends. They don't know anything else. I'm not saying this to scare you, but sometimes we need to take a step back and say, okay, this is what is happening. What happens here? How is it related to mindfulness? Here, the who am I concept becomes important. And why we become so far away is because of all this external stimuli constantly feeding at a conscious level and subconscious level. We begin to assume an identity that is completely not us at all. We assume an identity. We start shopping the way others shop. We start dressing the way everybody else dresses. We all know that, right? If I wear something, hey, this is not in fashion today. What is this? I don't know this guy, sorry. We want to buy the car which is in today. You want to shop in the mall which is in today. You go to the mall is in you, you're in the mall, then you say, I am the mall. We want realization, enlightenment. We buy something, we look at what others are rating, how they are rating. Movies we decide to like because others have liked it. So imagine our uniqueness that we were born is lost because you're constantly now trying to become something or somebody. And everybody is chasing that weird somebody where it doesn't exist. We have borrowed ideas, we have borrowed likes, we have borrowed dislikes, we have borrowed tastes, we have borrowed fashions, we have borrowed beliefs. So where is my core value? Who am I then? I don't know. I have no time to think about that. I don't allow my child to think about that because we are creating all the, that Inception movie. You're planting all the thoughts right in the childhood. You're building the reality for them and then say, this is it. This is where you should laugh. This is where you should cry. We train them. Baba tells a beautiful analogy. He tells a story. He says there was a village. Before I come to the story, when we were young boys, we were all searching for spirituality. But at that point, trying to understand Baba, practice what he said. But we were not saints then. I don't say we are now. But the point at that point is, he would seek every opportunity to teach us. Every opportunity. Come, let's talk. And he'll give a discourse. After a point, we'll be like, we're bored. And I used to wonder, I say for myself, honestly, how come he has this energy to share so much? Why does he want to share so much? We're getting bored of this constant philosophy. But why? How come he is excited to say things which are otherwise sound so boring to us at that point, right? Atma, Paramatma. But then now, as I'm growing into it and you begin to experience it, you become excited and enthusiastic to a large extent, and it's that joy you want to share. You want to tell them, wake up, there is so much here, you're missing all that, So he tells a story about it slipped my mind. Um, Devesh, no, he wouldn't know where it is. Anyway, the point, Swami will give it to me. He shares, I'm sorry. No, I mean, anyway, the point is it will come back. I think if it's meant to come back, it will come back. The point here is that mindfulness, the concept of realizing who I am is so very important, and we forget that identity, who I am, and then we go ahead. And so there is this other anecdote, not the one I was thinking of, but the other anecdote Swami tells us this story. It's probably also popularly known. Is this farmer, his son and his donkey, they're going to the village. He wants to sell the donkey. So as he's walking, the child is young. So he says, okay, sit on the donkey, I'll give you a ride. Right? As you're walking towards a passerby, says, what nonsense, that poor donkey, what is carrying your son? He says, oh, is it? Okay. The son goes down and they're walking. And somebody else passes by, what, this poor child you're making him walk, what is, put him on the donkey. Oh, okay, put him on the donkey. So in order to please somebody and afraid what others might think, he constantly kept changing, to the point eventually Swami said, this father was carrying the donkey and the son and struggling to go because somebody gave that idea to him. So George Bernard Shaw, I think it is George Bernard Shaw, I might be wrong, but I think it is him. He says at 20, he says the irony of life, he says, at 20 you don't care what others think. You don't care. This is me, I'm going to do this, and so you get everybody else worried, you don't care. At 40, you're always worried about what others think. At 80, you realize others were not thinking about you at all. Seriously. We live our life for others' sake. Nobody really cares for you. They might talk about you for 2 days. After that, you're over. You're past. There's somebody else taking your place. Sorry to burst the bubble, but you're not that important. It is good to know that really nobody cares. What really matters is what I think about myself. What are my likes? What are my dislikes? How am I living my life? What is my purpose in this life? That is where Swami comes in as a role model. That is where Swami comes in. Look at Swami's form, for example. I use it in a more, bear with me when I use Swami as a human being and as an example. I know he belongs to each one of us. And so I might tread into areas where you hold him very dear and near. But so I'm saying bear with me and forgive me if I use him. But this is how I experience him. This is how I look at him. This is how I share him and his ideologies and the way I understand it to the youngsters. I say, youngsters, you talk of unique selling point in your manage. What is my unique selling? What's my USP? How can I be unique? Look at Baba. With none of these management lessons, how he adopted a unique form of being a holy man. Until you saw him, there was no holy man at then, no holy man today who will dare adopt this form. Afro hairstyle, clean shaven, smart looking. You don't find them. The fashion, if you will, was beard, turban, right? Swami adopts a form. Now you and I will say, if you and I decide to start a mission, we'll say, what are others doing? We compare others and then say, what is my USP? My USP is therefore just to be different from others. But is that really my USP? Is that my uniqueness? My uniqueness is not simply to be different from others. My uniqueness is who I really am. So the strength this young boy in a village declares himself as Sai Baba, not near Shirdi, far away from Shirdi. Nobody has heard of Shirdi Baba in the south. Right? He declares the name sage. Nobody has heard of who Sai Baba is. What is he talking about? Who is this boy? He truly becomes a unique guru. Truly unique in every aspect. Unique in the choice of his location, like I just mentioned earlier. Unique in the choice of his name. Unique in the way he declared his mission. I have come. I am the avatar. He didn't say I am God, I am a sadhaka, I had this brilliant experience and therefore now I realized I'm God. No. I am right there, right from the top. He became the very voice of Vedanta. In Vedanta, we talk about avatarhood, we talk about understanding Brahman. He said, I am that. You want to understand Vedanta? Understand me. You will understand the whole concept of Vedas, that within you lies supreme energy. I am that. Here. Straight away. uniqueness. You need strength to come there, right? Fearlessness to even declare yourself in that mission. How does Swami do that? He didn't plan it. That's the thing. It came. He allowed that to blossom from my light, see in my light. He allowed that inner divine light to shine. And that made him more empowered. So education didn't stop him. Lack of education didn't stop him. Lack of knowing knowledge. Nothing stopped him from doing what he wanted to do. And he broke all the laws of science. He broke, like we know how many times he materialized objects and things like that. He broke all the rules of management. Everything that you learn in management today, you apply it to Swami, he's broken it. He's broken it. And yet he's most successful human being on earth today, as I can see. Because success is actually helping people. And if you count by sheer numbers, he has gone so far ahead. He was the first to establish a stand. Bhajan singing was there. Sampradaya bhajans were there. Traditionally bhajans were there. But they had kind of drifted into very, very low standards. People just get into frenzy, everybody beating the drum, and there was no music. It was more chaos. He comes and let's sing bhajans. But then he introduces a standard. This is how you sing. And today, the whole of the country is following Sai bhajans as a standard. They follow, let us do it like Sai bhajans. Because they, or somebody wants, they call Sai. Even here, I'm sure something happened, they want Sai devotees to come and sing a bhajan. Why? Because they know that there is quality there. Who do you give that credit to? Baba. Uniqueness. The idea of free education, free hospital, go out and serve. Uniqueness. After him, every holy man in India is starting a school, starting a hospital. Everybody wants to follow his model. He set the path. Uniqueness. That is true leadership, being unique. To me, that ties into that mindfulness. I have to be mindful of my uniqueness in this cosmos, and I need to exploit that uniqueness. It is okay if I stammer in my speech. It's okay if I have a limp in my walk. It's okay, that's who I am. Let me be proud of who I am. And that will help me express more fully, fearlessly, and therefore I become that street lamp that he wanted us to. I hope I'm making sense here. But this is how we got to, as Sai devotees, as being exposed to the greatest teacher of our time, if we believe that in our hearts, if we believe that, then let us exploit that treasure he has come to give. Otherwise we miss this life. I mean, before you realize 1 more year will pass, before you realize 5 more years will pass, before you realize a whole decade will go, or decade will go, and then what? And then you will still be attending one satsang to another, organizing one retreat to another, caught up in who's going to sing which bhajan next, who will plan the menus and who will do the... We get caught up into event planning. And what happens? Baba becomes an event in the calendar. He becomes an event in the calendar. I have been to retreat meetings where in a 1-hour meeting, 45 minutes is spent on discussing what the menu should be. They call me. They said, you, Brother Sundar, we want you to give ideas for the retreat. I said, okay, I'll be on the call. Okay, I'm listening. So I mute it. Everybody mutes. They talk on turn. And 45 minutes or more is spent on what the menu should be. Then the next 10 or 12 minutes is spent on some other logistics. And then they'll turn around and say, Brother Sundar, thank you for being, you send us an email of what you want to speak, we'll just incorporate that. So I said, okay, thank you, and I put it down. So the idea is, if you understand the body language of this communication, where is your importance lie? Because we are afraid, oh, people come, they don't like the food, they won't come again. Oh, if this happens, that happens, we have to make them comfortable. Yes, I know, we have to be hospitable, that's being part of the host. Yes, I understand, but where do we draw the line and say, you know what, we'll provide good food, but you're not coming here to eat. We'll provide good place and good chairs for them to sit, but you're not coming here, it's not a theater where you're going to come for entertainment. Here we are taking time off from the regular drudgery of our life to examine everything that we are otherwise losing ourselves. So back to that story which now Baba gives me. So in a village, Baba says, everybody is mad. Why? Because there is a well where the water is poisoned. And so when they drink that water, slowly over a period of time, they lose their senses and they lose their level of reality. So they act crazy. Somebody will be laughing, somebody will be crying, and so on and so forth. Baba says slowly, I mean, because those days, you have one reservoir of water, they come and take in pots and pans. And so everybody was drinking from the well, and so everybody eventually became mad. The king had heard about this, so he said, I want to visit that village and see what I can do for them. So the king comes in his horse, and all of them look at the king, and they all whisper among themselves, see this mad fellow, he's our king, look at him, so serious, he's not jumping and laughing like us. Because the king was sane and everybody else was insane, they thought the king was mad, because he didn't fit into their reality, right? And then Baba says, it was a hot day. Nobody knows why these people are getting mad. Nobody knows the reason, right? So it was a hot day. The king said, I want some water to drink. So they bought water from the well. He drank, and then he started laughing, uncontrolled. And the villagers rejoiced. Oh, Asin was mad, but he got cured. The king was mad, now he is cured. This miracle water has cured him. And he became mad too. Baba says that is a problem. And so he says, when you see me, you drag me into the picture. But when you see the picture, you've got to go out of the picture. So he says, don't bring God into the picture. Take the picture to God. In other words, when you see the divine principle in this form, using the form, go to that divine principle that is everywhere, within us, without us, above us, below us, all around us. And then you begin to experience that omniscience, omnipresence. But what does that mean, bringing God into a picture? But then when we look at the picture, we bring God into that, and then we sit in front, and Baba would say, then you bring out your laundry list. Swami, help here, help there. What is this happening? What is that happening? We got a laundry list. So we want him to fix our problems. And he says, the best way to fix your problem is give that chit to me. Let me handle it. He says, yeah, but make sure it's fixed. We go like this back and forth. Like the little seed you sow and pull it out. We're refusing to see in his light. To me, mindfulness is surrender. Mindfulness is that acceptance of his teachings and then aligning my life to those teachings. How do I take my values to those teachings? How do I align that to the teachings? And then you make decisions on your career, everywhere. Say, if it's aligned to my values, I'll do it. When we first came, I got a fantastic job in Coca-Cola. I refused that job because I said, I can't be part of this Coke industry. I don't want to be part of it. I have nothing to do with it. I'm doing IT, but no, I can't be part of that. Then I realized I was part of a hospital industry. Then I went to a meeting, they're talking about beds, they're talking of, doctor, you have to have so X number of operations. So we don't care if you don't meet, and the last guy walks in, I'm sure there'll be something wrong in him, just perform the operation. So even if you go and say there's a slight pain, he will say, a little surgery might help fix it. Because he has deadlines to meet, it's a business. They run it as a business. So I realized this is not for me, I need to get out of here. I can't be part of this anymore. Once I realize something is going wrong. But my heart, I can sleep in peace when I do that. I can sleep in peace. Because I know that the money I'm getting is from what I truly believe. Then I joined a relocation company which helped people move from one place to another. I said, good, I like to do that. So, career choices, food choices. I won't get into trouble, food guy, I won't. But I'm just saying, you become mindful of everything. And then you start automatically, without knowing, you become the street lamp. People ask me, so you went as a non-side devotee. When did that happen? When did you become a devotee of Baba? I said, I don't know. It was so slow, so subtle, so powerful that I don't know. It was curiosity at first. Curiosity led to admiration. I began to admire Baba when I saw him from morning till night, constantly in this consciousness of how much can I give, what can I give, how to give. This quality of giving is not simply for people, not when he came out and he gave big gifts to thousands of people, hundreds of people. That quality of giving of Swami, if I tell you these stories, I've shared this other places as well, so bear with me if you think it's a repetition. But small little things he would pay attention to. Small little things he would, and I'm not saying this happened only to me. If you ask every student to talk here, he will have a story of what Swami gave him and how it was so special to him. You know in your own life, when you sit, at some point you will know that Swami gave you or pay attention to you. Not in a physical sense maybe, but in a spiritual sense. That is why you have that personal connection. But I can share with you even at a physical level, how Swami paid attention to that small. One boy in the sports meet was practicing karate. This is all we learned ourselves, right? Until later on when Swami brought in experts. This boy was practicing karate. He was going to kick and break bricks with his kicks. And so one such practice, he hit a vein and his foot started bleeding uncontrollably. It became a big issue. They put him on plaster. Now he was a very new boy to Swami. He was very new. He had come from London or someplace. He was used to a 5-star life, son of rich parents. He came, he was not happy with his hostel and mosquitoes biting and no fan, and he was not happy at all. I mean, I have to share this room. You know how the dorms that we lived, it was a big hall, like not even as big as this. This could have fit in 3 halls. So you have a cupboard that's built into the wall, and you put a pillow, you put a sheet, and you lie down to sleep, and up there is your clothes. You can announce if there's an important announcement. PDJ 963. So the point is, at the end of it all, how do we live that life of watching what goes into me? Baba would say, if this is what I am born for, how much attention we pay to our car? I see a simple thing like a car, where we park, what we do, how much nuisance it could cause others, right? A vehicle is so important. I have to maintain my vehicle, do its regular maintenance. We all maintain our vehicle, how important it is, right? On the one side, it should look good, everybody should like it, yes, that's all fine. But then it also has to run, because without that I could be paralyzed in my work. I can't carry on. But guess what Baba says? What about this vehicle? This vehicle. This is a vehicle for you. And how much attention do I pay to my vehicle? That is mindfulness. Do I take it for granted? If all the time, throughout the day, my spine is going to be rested on sofa or chair, why will I not get a back problem? By the time people are 20, 22 these days, children get into back problems. They have said this, is documented now. 8 out of 10 children, by the time they're 20, they start getting back issues and they continue. You see children playing video games, those video chair games, I look at that, I'm like, wow. Then book, text. So you're like this, hunching on the top, and the bottom of the spine is gone. There's a spine. Baba would say, you evolved thousands of years, and why? He would say, even the devas would want to take birth as a human being to realize the ultimate. So even if there are aliens out there, he would say, you have to be born as a human being to realize the ultimate. That is how special this body is. Jantunam nara janma durlabham. Among all the jantus, among all the species and all dimensions, Nara Janma, Nara is mankind, human beings. Nara Janma, Durlabham. Durlabham is very rare to get this birth. Very rare. And so we have earned this through lifetimes of evolution. And guess what we do? And Baba says, you know why? Because let me finish that point, because I talked about the spine. He says, you know why? Because this is the only species in the entire universe that has a spinal cord that can be straight and can allow consciousness to rise. We are the only species, when we sit in a bhajan and we listen, sometimes we feel the elevation. This is why in the morning when we meditated, most of us, if not all, felt that energy, that uplifting of consciousness. It happened automatically. So that is the energy we have, that's the potential we have. So the potential to realize a supreme consciousness lies in us. And yet this vehicle, instead of maintaining it, what do? We take it for granted. We don't even treat it as a vehicle. The Vedanta says treat it as a temple. So forget that. That is so, if God is within me, then first can I treat my temple? Can I be mindful of what I eat? Can I be mindful of what I see, what I smell? They all are related. You see, these are practical things. Okay? It's important for us to understand this concept of surrender, this concept of Swami's light. How do we practice every day in our life? This is where I'm trying to give you an idea. All these are doors that open into deeper studies. But I'm just giving you a bird's eye view, if you will, as to how much exciting is spiritual life. There is so much to learn, so much to try, and then you're empowered at every day. And as you tap into cosmic energy sources, then you don't feel the little hunger, the little tiredness, the little necessary for sleep and food. And so all this slowly, when food is not required, then this choice of restaurants, where to go, what to do, is kind of this, all that goes away, right? Because now you're tapping into another source of joy, which is so foreign to us right now. But then how do we get there? This is why Baba could live in that room, small little room, 10 feet by 10 feet or 12 feet maybe. That was his living room. One chair where he would sit, straight back chair, not a recliner. I wish he had a recliner, really. Every time I sit in a recliner, I think, oh my gosh, I wish Baba had something like this. So a part of me feels guilty. How can I even sit in this? So I sit in it after intense yoga. Kidding. Anyway, the point is, it was a straight back chair, just enough that he can sit. A waste paper basket on this side where he can tear the letters and put it in. Another table here with 3 stacked trays with full of letters that come to him every day. At least the days I knew him. Now it only kept growing more and more. And his only pastime was open, read, tear, open, read. That was his pastime. Everybody would come, 3 or 4 people would come, the ashram authorities, they would come stand in front of him. Nobody will talk to him unless he speaks. It's nice to hear, but look at it from Swami's point of view. I would think, my God, he has nobody who he can call his own, nobody where he can say, as Trini says, lime, No, I didn't know this word then, but I would think there is no one he can say, you know what, I'm done being avatar, let's chill and talk something else. No, he didn't. I felt, so that's why my curiosity, first I want to know what he did, and then it became admiration. How does he do this? How is he able to even maintain his sanity by, unless he speaks, somebody won't speak to him. So everybody maintained distance with Swami. Everybody, the closest, if you ask Satyajit today, and I hope you invite him. It will be amazing to listen to his views as well, because he was so close to Swami in the recent past, and many of you know him by name. So even he would tell you that he would never tell, I know Baba, I'll put in a word for you. Swami, no, dare not. Dare not walk into a room and Swami is there. You maintain that space was, his space that he had around him was unapproachable until he allowed you to approach it. But how does one live as a human being like that? For me, that was my admiration point. I began to admire that he has no friend of his own. There's no way where he could just be like what we would call just relax and have some fun time. Because he tapped into another source of joy which we were unaware of. That's when I began to understand that there has to be, because there is, by sheer logic, I said that he can't maintain his sanity unless he is tapping into some other source that is not available to us. And he was tapping into that source, a source that he calls the divine principle, going back to being I am God. He was tapping into that source, and in that source he was one with everything. He was not looking for entertainment because he was entertainment. He was not looking for happiness because he was happiness. He was not seeking love because he was love. He identified with the very things that you and I are seeking for the whole life. And that is what empowered him to do what he did. And if he tells us you can do that too, then what a treasure we are missing in one lifetime. And therefore, in order to do that, can I be mindful? Can I at least take those steps in being mindful in my life? Which is in in the Sanatana Dharma, in the Hindu philosophy, in yoga, they call it sadhana. Sadhana is conscious living, spiritual practices. Watch what I eat. Now when I say watch what I eat, don't think about, and many times you would make this mistake, Swami would talk about food, and then he would correct us as, food is not what you have, only have the plate. Oh, okay, what else is food then? He would say anything that goes into your body is food. He says this, in the food prayer that we chant, we say Aham Vaishwanaro Bhutva. Right? This is Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says. Where does Krishna says? He says I am in every living being. Where does he say I am? I am what? Aham Vaishwanaro. Aham means I. Vaishwanaro Bhutva. Naro is man. In all mankind, I live as a digestive fire. That principle that is able to transform, that fire within me, life source, the life force is here. And so I am the life force that digests food. And Baba says, food is not just the thing that goes into your mouth. And think about it, okay? You would say, but what I watch, how can it affect this Vaishwanara? I will show you some really grotesque videos, okay? Gross ones. And then I say, come, let's eat ice cream while we watch it. Will you do that? You say, oh my God, this makes me sick. I've lost appetite. So what you're watching is affecting that Vaishwanara, life force. Think of that when we watch a violent movie and we are eating. Think of that when you're watching a sad movie and eating, because that brain is secreting those chemicals which are getting mixed in the food, and that food is going into Vaishwanara. How can it bless you? How can it give you health? How? Because that is food going in, and this food going in, this mixes with that. And so if children can eat only when they are watching exciting movies, you are creating more excitement, you are stimulating them to a very hyper level of living, and they are not going to be able to handle when life teaches them to be patient, because they don't know what patience is. The brain is not trained to be patient. They don't know what patience is. They don't know what is slowing down. They either boring or they go to sleep. The only way they know to slow down today, and all of us are in that same, the only way we know to slow down, we don't say, I'm so tired, let me meditate for some time. How many of us do that? I'm so tired today, oh gosh, let me meditate for some time and get refreshed. No, when we are tired, we say meditation. Oh, forget it. I'm too tired to meditate. I want to sleep. Because the only way we know is either be full awake or be fully asleep. We don't know any other dimension in between. And so we are closing the doors to everything Swami wants to open. Right? I'm not saying all this for you to go home feeling bad about yourself. Right? That's why I initially said don't judge. But the point is this is what sadhana is, self-introspection. So okay, you know what? Let me make small little changes in my life. So if I can watch what goes in through my eyes, that plays a very important role into that same Vaishwanara Agni, because that Agni is none other than Krishna himself. He says, I am that Agni. So aren't you insulting it? And then what you listen, how can it affect your Agni? Think of it. If you're listening to something horrible, some horrible news comes to you and you're listening to it, then you say, okay, that was so sad, let's go eat. Immediately your stomach feels upset because you listen to something terrible. It affects your stomach, you know it, we all know this, right? Same thing, the bad smell. If you're walking down the street, if some bad smell comes, you're like, oh, I want to throw up. Directly affects your Vaishwanara Agni. So all the senses, information going in is affecting that life force that is keeping you alive. That God within you that's keeping you alive. That life energy which is transforming food and giving you energy, you're contaminating that very principle. It's like contaminating the main water source. If the main water source is contaminated, it doesn't matter whether you take it from the tap or whether you take it from the tank or wherever you go, the main source of water is contaminated, and therefore everything is contaminated, right? So think of that. If this life force gets contaminated, then the energy that's coming out from here everywhere is already poisoned. But yet we live, thanks to Swami's grace, thanks to God's grace, we live. But then our lifespan is not measured by how many years, but what is the quality of our life. Swami would tell us, and he would encourage us to adopt healthy habits, He would tell us, you know how old Arjuna was, and I'm quoting Swami here. You know how old Arjuna was when he fought the war. You know how old Krishna was when he fought the war. 96 and 94. Krishna was 96 years old, Arjuna was 94 years old when they fought the war. He says because that time the average lifespan was 120 years. That was a lifespan, and then we have reduced. So the point is, are we really progressing? When we say we have progressed, are we really progressed? We have become faster. I mean, instead of sending a snail mail by writing by hand, posting it, I'm now able to text. Even email sounds, Devesh should say, what are you, a peasant? Like a peasant, you're sending email. So I won't dare mention email. Texting is much faster now, the fastest. So have we progressed? What is progress? We have progressed in the speed at which message is transferred. To that extent we have progressed. But the content, have we progressed? So when you examine the content of what you write, isn't it safer to write here because I have a chance to think 10 times before I mail it? Here I post and then, oh God, done, I can't relate it. That's why children do some silly, stupid thing, then they go commit suicide. Because they have done something instinctively, impulsively, because the brain is stimulated so much, they don't even know. You pity them, you can't judge them, they don't know. They do something and then before they realize the world knows it and they're scared, now they're afraid, they don't know where to hide. And so, how many children commit suicide because of that? Youngsters. So imagine, so is that progress really? Just because you're becoming faster and faster, is that progress? But what about the content of communication? What about the quality of life? Therefore, the years of life really don't matter. Swami Vivekananda lived, 40 years? Less than 40 years. But look what he achieved. Adi Shankara lived 30 plus years. Look what he achieved. So the question is how mindful they were. I have every day, every moment, what can I do something better? And then life becomes an adventure. Every day becomes a new opening, a new chance to express something in life. And therefore, it becomes very empowering. And then you slowly align yourself with God principle inside you. And you begin to live life more fully. And then when you sit down and close your eyes to meditate, because of the rest of the time I've lived my life trying to be aligned to my core values, when I sit down to meditate, I can easily become mindful, if you will. At that point, meditation becomes redundant if you're truly practicing. That's why Baba teaches you meditation as a lifestyle. If you read Dhyana Vahini, he presents the whole philosophy behind dhyana. If you understand Raja Yoga in the Gita, it is a lifestyle. It's not about touching your toes and all that. That is all part of it. It's all small components of a larger lifestyle of mindfulness. So the same way, if I am mindful of being an instrument of God. I'll just end with a small story of Swami, how he trained me, and I shared it in the most recent interview in LA. But it's worth mentioning here. Swami made me mindful of that prayer that we do. So many years ago, when I was in Swami's room, the early days, the quality of mail that would come, the quality of the cards that would come were beautiful. Those days it was rare. And in Puttaparthi we were in village, so after a while you don't see anything else, right? So you see these cards, beautiful print, and there's flowers, and then the poems are wonderful. So Swami won't tear them. He will see it, and if there's anything personal, he will take it off and then leave the card for us to tear it. Maybe even he didn't have the heart to tear it. Then we would go in the night and tear it. But every time I would look at it and tear, I was like, oh my gosh, such a beautiful card has to go. But we have to do our job, so we did that. One day, I was sitting in Swami's room. Swami had got up to go to the restroom or something. He went into his bedroom. He said, hey, he pointed, so I had to clean up all the paper that he had put next to him, because he's been tearing letters and putting it in the trash basket, which was full. And so when he got up to leave, I went and collected all this paper, put it in a larger plastic bag, and then there was one card that I was supposed to take, big card. I took it, and then my eyes fell upon this prayer: make me an instrument of thy peace. Where there is hatred, may I sow love, let me sow love, and so on and so forth. We all know the Saint Francis prayer. I read that. The moment I was reading it, it touched something very deep inside me. That's the first time I came across it. I was like, oh my gosh, this is beautiful. Because by then I began to admire Swami, right? The curiosity led to admiration. I wanted to be part of his mission. I wanted to do something to be part of this, just for the joy of being part of it. And so, this prayer said, make me an instrument of that peace. This is what I really wanted to do, and it was like words from my mind printed there. But before I could enjoy that, I heard, hey, I told you this, the eternal Halloween in Prashant, hey, I froze because we are not supposed to even look into Baba's mail. And I froze. I was so scared. I looked up at Swami, terrified, and then he did like this. He didn't say anything. He just did like this. I quietly sneaked away, and of course I got rid of everything. But I said, oh gosh, I hope he didn't mind. I was not reading anything personal. It was a poem. I was thinking all this, right? I was so nervous. He let it be. A couple of weeks or some time passed by. I'm not sure at this point how long, but it was more than 2-3 weeks. One day he was asking me to clear. He called me again. I was clearing stuff, and then as I was taking the little bags out, he said, hey, wait. And he gave me another big bag, like a shopping bag it was. So he said, here. So I took that, and I thought this was also meant to be trash. So I just said, okay, Swami. And I turned my bag. He said, wait, listen, that is for you. I opened it, and I saw a bunch of cards. You like it, no? Keep it. You see this aspect of giving I was telling you, right? He noticed something, he went, okay, give. It was always like so profound in his giving, I'm telling you. He said, you like it? No, keep it. So I went down, I was so excited, what is this Swami gave? And I look all these cards, they were all beautiful cards with beautiful poems and all that. I eventually, many years later, I made an album with my pictures and all those cards, put it in, and Swami kept it on his lap and signed it. And that's a blessing forever. And so I got all these cards and kept it with me. Anyway, apart from that, I loved that poem. And so I started saying that poem, make me an instrument of my peace, in my heart all the time. I got a chance to speak in front of Swami very soon after that. And at the end of my talk, I ended with, make me an instrument of thy peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. And so Swami gave me namaskar. Swami said, good. And next day he said, good prayer. Good talk, good prayer. And when he said good prayer, I thought, wow, this is great. Not only did I like my talk, but he's also indicating that's a good prayer for me to adopt as my prayer. And so I thought it was some kind of a subtle initiation from Swami, so I took it very seriously. And day in and day out, that would be my mantra, my chanting, my meditation, make me an instrument. And that's what I wanted to be, so I went on and on and on for weeks and months. So a few years like this passed by, other incidents, events came and went. Somewhere in the mid-80s or so, I got another chance, among other chances, to speak for Swami. And this time I thought, it's been years since I chanted that prayer in front of Swami. I've chanted other prayers, other songs and all, but now I will try that prayer again. Because I always wanted to tell that, but I can't do that, too soon. Swami will say, what is that? Same thing you're talking, talk something different. So I was there, I didn't want him to negate that prayer in any way. So I was always waiting for a good opportunity. And so when I got this chance, many years later, I said, once again after my talk, I said, make me an instrument of thy peace. I mean, it's truly a great opportunity to look at him directly and say this. And so I said that with all my heart and feelings and touched his feet. Everything went off well, at least for that moment. And so the next day he comes straight to me and out of the blue, who are you to order? Who are you to order God? Enduku order chesna? Why are you ordering? Like, what? I didn't connect this. Okay, now I'm telling you as a story, so you are thinking it's something connected with this. At that moment, I was just looking, I said, where did I order? What did I do? And then Swami said, what is this? Make me coffee, make me tea, make me instrument. When he said, make me instrument, then I said, oh God. But he said, make me coffee, make me tea, make me instrument. What is this? And then of course he has all these yes men around him. He looks at these old devotees, no? And they all say, yes, Swami. I was like, oh God, I'm in deep soup now or what? But I'm thinking, what is Swami trying to teach me? Because he was the one who told me good prayer just a few years ago. So now he's saying, who are you to order? May I, Chippu? Say, may I? May I be an instrument? May I bring you coffee? May I sit down? Isn't that polite? They all said, yes, Swami. May I? And so I started thinking and I said, how true it is. Because when you say, you do this, give me enlightenment, and I sit back, I'm waiting for enlightenment to come. It's never going to come. Because you have ordered, like in a restaurant, you make the order and then you really can't do anything in the restaurant other than wait. Right? If it's a good restaurant, they bring it. Or you need some VIPs, recommendations to get that, to make it VIP service. Otherwise, you just have to depend on the waitress and their good mood, right? So you say, make me an instrument, you sit back, waiting. Now Baba's opened the door. May I? May I? In other words, can I co-create with you? Can I be a partner? Can I participate in this mission? You're not waiting for him to make you an instrument. Now you're saying, may I be? May I come in, sir? Right? The door is opening there. You're not standing out and saying, open the door. You're saying, may I come in? So may I be an instrument? The Sanskrit prayer, Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu, the ancient chants in Sanskrit, they're all this concept of, there is no asking there. It's co-creating with the divine. That's why they're very powerful. All mantras are co-creating with the divine. There's no asking there at all. Namah Shivaya is Nama, not about me, Shiva. You're concentrating on Shiva. So it's very, very powerful in that concept. So there was Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. May all the beings in all the worlds be happy. You're co-creating with the divine, you're also blessing. So in that, you be part of it, right? So may I became a co-creating practice, and I loved it. It became more empowering. I felt more involved in Swami's work, and I felt this is it, this is what I wanted. And so I started saying, may I be an instrument of thy peace. And so that became my prayer for many, many years. Towards the end in Kodaikanal, I think it was 1990, we were spent 45 days with Swami in Kodaikanal as a group. And every day Baba would ask me to speak something. So very soon I was running out of material. All my poems were exhausted. Because Swami, when he likes it, he'll say, sing something, say something nice. So when I'm saying the poem, he'll look at others, he'll laugh, good, no? Good. Like a parent, very, very sweet of Swami. I can't even explain how that happens. But anyway, so I knew that Swami is expecting, so I had to learn a lot of quotes and poems and all that to weave it into Swami's teachings. And so I thought this day I can say this prayer, may I be an instrument, because I haven't said this for a long time. And now Swami has corrected me, so I can't go wrong with this, right? So now with Swami right next to me, this side actually, I was facing, Swami is sitting right next to me. And I'm saying at the end of my talk, may I be an instrument of thy peace, Swami. Where there is hatred, may I sow love. I'm saying with confidence, with prayer, with sincerity. I enjoyed saying that. And I bent down to touch Swami's feet. Swami patted me on the back. And then I looked up to Swami. And then Swami said, still how many years like a beggar you'll go, may I, may I, may I. How powerful. He doesn't mince words. And Swami made this face. How many years? May I, may I, may I. Like a beggar, how many years you will do? So powerful, right? And then he said, when will you say, I am an instrument of thy peace? When are you going to say? Say, I am. I said, I am an instrument. Good. Start saying that. So how over a decade, he allowed me to understand, become mindful of what I was asking, assimilate it, become part of my life. And then he said, okay, now you're ready for the next step. Go. Say I am now. Start saying I am. Because don't wait for things to happen. It is in that same spirit. That is the heights of mindfulness. Because when I start saying I am, then I have to watch everything I do, because I am an instrument. I have to be empty constantly. I can't load my own stuff onto me. I have to let his energy flow. And every time I stop it, I can feel how his energy stops. It becomes so evident. You become very sensitive. And thus your awareness of where you are in this cosmos, your awareness of everything in life changes. You become very alive. And you become closer to Swami. And it manifests itself in dreams or whatever it is. You feel that connection, and you don't want to let go of that connection, because that connection keeps Swami alive in you. That connection with the Sadguru is so important. And so that becomes the guiding principle, the source, the sustenance for everything that you do in your life. I am. It is in that same tone Baba gave this to all the devotees in 1983 on his birthday. We all know this. We sing that. Sister Vinti sang this bhajan in the morning. I am God. I am God. I am not different from God. I am. He didn't say, make me enlightened, wait for me. See, even the Gayatri mantra, don't get carried away by this. English translations is just pathetic in its translation, which says, please enlighten me, O Mother Goddess. There's no such words there at all. Dhiyo yona prachodaya. May I be enlightened. I am. So when you meditate on this supreme principle, that enlightenment comes as an expression of that experience. You're not waiting to be enlightened there. That's why it's one of the most powerful mantras. If you understand the actual grammar and the syntax behind it, it's so carefully worded. They were very mindful of these wordings because they knew that you wait for something. If you say, give me, then you're waiting. You'll be waiting forever. Gayatri is not asking, not praying, nothing. It is, I meditate on the supreme energy principles, this divine, cosmic Bhur Bhuvasva, Tat, Tat. There's no name to that. Tat. Savitur, one as brilliant as the sun. You're using sun as a synonym to go to that brilliance. Savitur Varenyam, worthy of worship. Tat Savitur Varenyam. Bhargo, brilliant. Devasya, that Deva who's brilliant. Deva is not the Deva way as God. That Devasya, the divine principle. Dhiyo yona prachodaya. Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi, Dhimahi. I meditate on that brilliant divine principle. And in that meditation, your mind is now carried into that divine principle. It's just filled with light. And in that light, you are expressing Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. And the illumination happens. Nah Prachodayat. We, it becomes we there. There's no I there. In that, we experience enlightenment. Prachodayat. So it's such a powerful prayer. And therefore, those are prayers that are powerful, which you understand. Baba even breaks that simpler for us. In English, in a language you and I can relate to, because it is the emotions that energize these. Along with Bijaksharas, if it's in Sanskrit. But then he says, I'm giving you this in English so you can relate to me. Because he is a Sadguru. He will take care of us if it's chanted in English. And he says, I am God. I am God. I am not different from God. How powerful is those three statements? Just there. There you can pause and think, oh my gosh, what did I just say? I am God. So what is that God? So write down your definition of God at that moment in your life. Write down, you are that. That definition will change because the God principle is so mysterious. That will go on changing. And every time it changes, you are associating yourself with that new definition of what you think God is. So everybody's definition is true and right. I am God, I am God. I am not different from God. I am akhanda, akhanda. Khanda is division. You and I are now divided. How many people in this room? 30 people, 35 people. We are all divided. If you ask Baba how many people in this room, he says, what people? I only exist. Akhanda. I don't see the difference. I think it's one of the quotes which Brother Mohan, he's very dutiful in sharing everyday quotes. Very nice from Prashant Nilayam. It's little seva, but everybody reads it. It's nice. You listen to Swami, what's today for me? In one place he says, there is no, one of these quotes many days ago, he says, there is nobody else to love other than me. There is nobody else to forgive other than me because only I exist. That is the where he said the bhakta should finally reach. The devotee should finally reach. When he sees there is nobody out there other than me. So whatever you see out there is a reflection of what you have in the new. If we see the world as going violent and going miserable and going into disaster, that is a reflection of what I am constantly building in myself. The world is a reflection of the reality my brain is creating. I am creating. But there are millions and billions of flowers that are blooming. The sun is putting on the most brilliant show every morning on the sky as he rises, and a brilliant show on the sky as he sets. I don't see that. So my reality is now focused on something else. So what you see out there is a reflection of what is going on in here. Akhanda is I don't see a difference. Akhanda. Khanda is division. Akhanda is without division. Parabrahman, that one divine principle that is manifesting itself in all of this. I am that. I am Akhanda Parabrahma Swarupa. Or Akhanda Parabrahman, the indivisible, absolute, supreme. I am that. To me, that is the greatest empowerment, aphorism or affirmation one can ever imagine. I know it sounds vague, right? You might say, yeah, that is all philosophy is good, but we are living in a practical life. I agree. This sounds vague. This sounds very abstract. This looks and seems very far off. It's simply because we have put it like that. If you start saying it, it will slowly begin to make sense. And Baba would not have given it to us. This Baba, who has touched millions of lives, would not simply give it to us if you and I were not ready for it. Among 7 plus billion people on this earth, a few 100 million people are exposed to Baba's teachings. And if he has spoken to us, it is these, you and I are part of that. We are meant to receive this. We have evolved and we have worked ourselves. You and I sitting in this hall and listening to it again is because at some level he is guiding us and making us listen. He said, this is where you got to go next. He's opening the doors for us. Otherwise he wouldn't have given to us on his birthday. He said, this is my gift to you. This is my gift to you. Start saying this. I am God. I am God. I am not different from God. I am Akhanda Para Brahman. I am Sat Chit Ananda. Grief, anxiety can never affect me. The more you say it, the more it will stay away from you. I am ever content. I am ever content. The more content you really feel in your heart, and the more you thank for where you are, here's the beauty of it. The more you'll be given. Because you're building that reality of being content. When you're more content, more you'll be given. And so you're even more content. But when I'm discontent, I will always be kept discontented because that is the reality I'm building. Am I right? This is the reality. This is what now modern psychology is understanding it. What Buddha said long ago, what Krishna said long ago, Yad bhavam tat bhavati. As you think, so you become. If you keep wanting something, guess what? You will be kept wanting because that wanting becomes your reality. I want grace. Good for you. Baba will say, good for you. That means what? You will be wanting grace for the rest of your life. Say, I have your grace, thank you. Even though you may not feel it, start saying thank you, and then you will know that little grace comes in. You will begin to recognize the grace in many forms that is actually blessing your life already. And then you begin to say, thank you, I am content. I am content. And more grace comes, and more content. And this becomes so powerful. Vedanta was not meant to make you a beggar on the street, not to make you a weakling, not at all to make you unfit for the society. That is why Swami said it was taught to a warrior to go out and fight and become the best warrior, but with the background of Vedanta that powers you. So it is meant to empower you. Fear cannot enter me. Period. Baba would say, and I'll end with this, and perhaps we'll have time for one or two questions. He would say, have you ever seen Hanuman on Arjuna as weak people? Arjuna was weak for a brief moment in the war, right? Other than that, you don't see him as weak. Have you ever seen Hanuman as weak? Yet, in the path of devotion, who are the examples of devotion? Hanuman and Arjuna, the greatest examples. Both of them warriors. Both of them powerful. So much so that we worship Hanuman more than Rama. If we feel somebody is possessed, we'll say, Rama, you can wait. I'll just pray to Hanuman because I know he'll take care of me. Bhoot pishach se nikat nahi have. So, Hanuman, that is the energy we are giving him. And what did he do? He was just a humble devotee. Where did he get that power from? Baba would say, a little monkey is jumping a big ocean. He doesn't know what is on the other side. He doesn't know how long is this jump going to be. He doesn't know the distance he has to cross. He has not seen Sita. They didn't have Instagram those days where Rama just broadcasted Sita's picture. This is what she looked the last time we were together in the forest, picking fruits. No, there was no Instagram, nothing. So he doesn't even know whom he's looking for. How does Sita look? I don't know. He has learned the description from Hanuman and from Lakshmana. Baba says Lakshmana, but Lakshmana only described her feet because he never looked beyond that. For him, she was his mother. So Rama describes. So listening to some description, he has a vague idea what she could look like. So without knowing anything, he gets up and says, I'll take a leap. If that is not truly a leap of faith, what else is? Baba says, how did that happen? Because he knew he was not the doer. Because he knew he was not the doer, and that he was merely an instrument through which God is going to work, that empowered him to do the greatest of deeds, and therefore surrender is meant for empowerment. Arjuna picked up his bow and fought when he realized he was not the doer. When he thought he was a doer, he became weak. When he knew he was not the doer, he became the most formidable warrior. So imagine surrender, seeing in God's light, would empower you or weaken you? It has to empower you. But how many of us claim that devotee status and still we feel vulnerable to situations because we feel somehow we are doing it? If we truly allow that His light to shine through us in all little aspects of life, when the bigger challenges come, they won't be a big challenge at all, because like Hanuman, you will just cross it knowing that He is the one who's energizing me. I don't have nothing to fear. And that's why He says in the end, fear cannot enter me, period. Just close the door. That fear, like I said, that will carry through lifetimes, is close the door. And so this is the greatest mantra for mindfulness. I am God. I am God. And translate that into your everyday. Bring it into your life. However abstract it might seem, don't wait for something to happen, because it will be like make me. The make me principle is you sit back. Someday, Baba's grace, I will realize. But someday will be always someday. He's saying, I'm waiting to help you now. Just start saying this, I will help you. But we close that door and we say, you help me. How can He help you? Like Krishna, He will stay. Because I'm full of I, me, I'm just a humble devotee, I'm a sinner, what can I know? I don't know anything, I don't know mantra. He'll wait, like Krishna waited for Arjuna. My dear sisters, brothers, this is a moment in our lives where, having been blessed by the greatest Sadguru, we can't get this opportunity again. We'll have another lifetime, there's no doubt about it. I know I'll have. But I won't get to see Sai again, I know. Maybe in another form, but not in this form. This is our only chance to enjoy holding those memories of how He was, what He taught us, and then translating those lessons. Shravanam, we listen to them. Bring all those, download those MP3, they're all freely available. Download His discourses onto your phone. Listen to it when you drive to work. Why do you listen to anything else? Listen, every day there will be messages. You don't know how much miracle that causes in your lives. I'm guaranteeing you, 100%, your life changes completely. Because with His words, that Akasha, that sound of His voice will bless you. Will bless your home, will bless your car, will bless you. Just listen to the sound of His voice. Nobody gets that opportunity. You and I read of the Gita, somebody sings the Gita, but that's not Krishna's voice anymore. We don't even know how His voice sounded. We have no way of knowing it, but now you know. We have that. Listen to His discourse. Listen to those voices of Swami again and again and again. Let it go into your subconscious. And then that Guru will open the doors. He will take that one step and He will open, and He will take those 1,000 steps. Shravanam, Mananam, then contemplate on what you heard. Let it slowly sink in. And then absorb it. Nididhyasanam. Let it reflect back in your words, thoughts, words and deeds. So this is my take on mindfulness. I hope it was not too abstract. I know it's not. I urge you and plead with you to open your mind and accept this highest teaching of Swami. Just open the mind, open your heart and say, okay Swami, I will just start chanting it. Even though I have no idea, I don't believe in it, I'm going to chant. Just say. That one step is what He says. He just says chant it every day. That's all He says. And you will watch how it really brings wealth into your life, health into your life, prosperity into your life, abundance into your life, strength into your life. Your life becomes blessed. And all you begin to say is, thank you, Swami, thank you, Swami, thank you.